Okay, so I'm live on my phone and I don't know if this is gonna work. It says I'm live. Everyone's on the other thing though, so I don't know that this is a good idea. I've got to see things. How about that? What's that? Live chat. Okay. There's someone watching now. I'm gonna try and do a redirect. I don't know if this is gonna work. Let's see. My man, stop making fun of me having technology problems. Although I deserve it at the moment. Okay, so okay. I'm coming up with a theory here. The noise is my goddamn fridge. Okay. Okay, you know what? I've worked it out. Live stream is actually here. So I'm redirecting people because I'm a genius. Hi, Luke. All right, I'm just trying to. This is not what I was going to do, so I'm not prepared for this. Okay. Okay. I think I'm okay now. I think I'm okay. I don't know if this is going to be worse. Yeah, I'll be AngryAussie sent you here. Hey, Belinda. So who's here now? Milk My Mantis, Luke, Fiore, Albie, Belinda, Brett. Yeah, I don't know what that was. I think there possibly was an update since I last did a live stream. Yeah, I miss Foxification. Yeah, it was just going, no, too many redirects, fuck you, clear your cookies. Clear my cookies, that didn't work, well, fuck you then. And I do remember my live streaming from the phone was relatively trouble-free. It is just harder to manage the chat. But I came up with a strategy for that. So we're all good. Hey, CrossFitter, you're here too. Cool. Christ, maybe I should do it from the phone. Oh, no, there's... I might experiment next up. Friggin' technology, man. And I'm not a boomer, I'm Generation X. But it is funny how whenever you see things about Generation X, it pretends we don't exist, actually. It's really weird. It's just about millennials and boomers. At least millennials know who the actual enemy is. Cool. It will, Luke, it would be harder to block trolls from the phone, but I've got a laptop window open as well, which will make it easier. Belinda, what do I think of Albo becoming Labour leader? He deserved it more than Bill Shorten did. As I've said for ages, I've never been a supporter of Shorten's. I thought it was a bit of a farce that he got made Labour leader. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Albo was like an old school lefty, so I don't know what will happen with him in charge. Who knows? Hi, Clapping for Chlamydia. Thank you for the compliment. Yes, I'm feeling gorgeous. Or not, but you know, that's the way it goes. So, out of interest, from your perspective out there in internet land, does this image look better than normal or worse than normal? Because I have to admit, on my phone, it looks better than it usually looks on my laptop, but I don't know what it looks like at your end. Yeah, better. Okay, maybe I should just do it from my phone. The only thing I need the laptop for is managing the chat. That's much harder to do on the phone. I can see the chat. The chat pops up like clapping for me, saying I'm aging like fine wine. So long as I don't go to vinegar, that's the important thing. I think there's some image filtering. Oh yeah, you can't see Mimsy's. Well, Mimsy's not actually here. It's quite easy to adjust my angle. And here's Mimsy's platform, but she's not actually here, so I don't worry about it. Oh, Belinda, you're in shock about the election result. Everyone is. I'm probably going to do a live stream with Kevin Logan on his channel on the weekend, talking about the election and election result and what happened and why did it happen and what the fuck is happening and all those things. I mean, on one level, like, I'm not, tearing my hair out and agonizing, but I do worry about the next. Oh, there we go. And because I wasn't planning to, I have a stand for my phone. And I may use that in future live streams, but I wasn't planning to, so I don't have it handy. So this is all haphazard. Justin, would I show up at a little private rally with a milkshake? Look, not a Liberal Party. They're just people I disagree with rather than the scum of the earth. Definitely the next fucking fash racist shit show that happens in Melbourne, I'm going to show up and just stand there drink. I'm not throwing my milkshake. They're not worth a milkshake. But I just want to stand there with a milkshake and freak them out. And ideally with a yard yelling at racist dogs t-shirt too. Clapping, would I debate right-wingers? Ugh. The whole debate is overrated, and the majority of right-wingers who talk about debating are absolute bad faith actors. I mean, like, it couldn't be made clearer than this last week where that dweeb Ben Shapiro was being interviewed by a real old Tory on the BBC, and because he was even slightly challenged, he lost his shit and had a little bitch fit. I was looking at my webcam. Why am I looking at my webcam? I'm not using. I've got to look at the phone. I'm using the phone. Yeah, he had a complete fucking hissy fit because he was mildly challenged. And he goes, well, why don't you just admit you're from the left? And this guy was a real old school Tory, so far from left. And it just shows all these cockheads, and they're usually but not always American, who talk about debate and stuff. They don't want to debate. They just want a platform to spout their bullshit. And they're always arguing in bad faith. Yeah, that was him, Peoria. Mr. Shapiro, if you only knew how wrong you are, you wouldn't have said that. But even, like, yeah, one of the things that little fuckwit regularly asserts is how reasonable he is and how unreasonably angry his opponents are. And he famously always points out one talk show he was on, I don't even know what the fuck it was, where he kept referring to a trans woman as sir, and she eventually got sick of it and leaned over and said, say that one more time, Sonny, and you're going home in a pine box. And he goes, oh, how could you be so rude while I was being so civil? He wasn't being civil. He was being the opposite of civil. He was saying the most rude, insulting, provocative, abusive thing he could think of. But he thinks because he said it in a level tone of voice, he's reasonable. He's an obnoxious little fucking shit. And the idea that just saying, keep it up, sunshine, and I'll fuck your shit up, is unwarranted, is complete bullshit. We talking about making milkshakes. I've got a milkshake maker over there. Yeah, I think it was Catherine who was actually making an alcoholic milkshake while she was watching the other night with mint aero bars. Ms. Voxification, you don't want another religious political leader in Australia. Well, we've got one. We've got bloody fuck. And I worry because, okay, so our little happy clapping evangelical loony prime minister gets re-elected against all the odds. And he's saying phrases like miracle win. Now, you and I might say that just casually if something incredibly unlikely happened. We call it a miracle win. But with him, that's not a casual word. He literally thinks he's been appointed by God. And that's fucking disturbing. Justin, you think Albert's a non-practicing Catholic? A lot of Catholics or former Catholics in the ALP, actually. It's where the DLP, the Democratic Labour Party, split off. Some hardcore, socially conservative Catholics in the old Labour Party split off to form the Democratic Labour Party, the DLP. So it's weird. There's like they were pro-union, but super conservative socially. It's weird. Ugh. Oh, it's Voxification. Scummo said he considers his religion one of his three great faiths. Ugh. But yeah, no. I actually think Scummo using phrases like miracle is really fucking dangerous. Really fucking dangerous. But that's what... Jim, I don't mind. Look, it's ridiculous. I'm not like one of those militant anti-theists who basically says no one's allowed to be atheist. I disagree with it. I genuinely have a very big problem with someone from a frankly insane fringe cult being in power. And that's whether it's a fucking evangelical, whether it was an ultra-Orthodox Jew, whether it was a hyper-conservative Muslim, or a fucking Scientologist. If somebody is wedded to the principles of an absolute fringe nutcase religion, they have no place having any control over public discourse. It's ridiculous to say, oh, they shouldn't be religious at all. The majority of people are. And I don't have a problem with that intrinsically, but I have a significant problem with people who belong to some fucking fringe extremist cult having their hand on the controls. Well, Jim, yeah, I think if someone uses the belief in the magic man in the sky to guide them, I think the evidence we have is the majority of people who in politics who are driven by religion are driven by the worst urges in religion. I mean, you know, if you had someone who was actually really extremely into the care for the poor and the only do good thing, I'd be on board with that. But they seem motivated by the worst excesses of their religions, which I find really troubling. Safa, I wouldn't be surprised if there were a lot of extremists in Ukraine. Oh yeah, Luke. It's things like I said. It's not well. Okay, I actually completely disagree with any and all religions, but I'm not going to say someone shouldn't or can't be in public life because they're a religious believer. but I have really big problems with people who are into fucking insane fringe culty versions of religions. Like I said, that's whether it's evangelical Christians or ultra Orthodox Jews, ultra Orthodox Muslims, or the real fucking loons like Scientologists or whatever. I think that is straight up dangerous. And yeah, I think Morrison's dangerous. You know, it's weird how much this for me. I'm not really dwelling on or agonizing over the election result because, you know, it happened and it's pointless dwelling on it. But yeah, then every now and then think about, God, what's the next 3 years going to be like? Pretty fucked, I imagine. Oh, well. Because the hard right are going to feel super vindicated by this and get very Jim, yes, Scientology is completely different to practicing Christians. Scientology is a premeditated fraud invented a few decades ago. And okay, here's one reason I cannot stomach people who fucking define themselves by atheism, because they feel compelled to say things like, Scientology is just like any other religion. They're all crazy. No, it isn't. Scientology is a premeditated fraud designed to exploit vulnerable people. And yes, I believe all religions are a fraud. Yes, I believe exploitation of people is rife in all religions. But it fucking shits me when people say, oh, Scientology is no worse than other religion. It is, and it's an asshole thing to say, quite honestly. And sorry, hi David, how's it going? The one bright spot, Tony Abbott losing his seat, yes. I haven't really tracked the Senate. It's because someone's asking about Hanson. She's in the Senate, isn't she? She wasn't standing for a lower house seat. She was just standing for the Senate, wasn't she? I don't know. Well, Brett, I wouldn't. Scientology isn't a religion. It's a cult, and it's a deliberately calculated fraud. Uh, uh, but through dirty tricks, they've managed to get recognized as a religion. I think they're officially a religion in Australia. They weren't for a while in the US. And if you want a really fucking wild story, look up Scientology. I think it was Operation Snow White. And it was basically Mormons infiltrated the tax department, the IRS in the US, and they basically blackmailed a bunch of people, got extortion material on a bunch of people, and backed them into a corner and got their tax-free status back. It was pretty wild. But oh, Jim, asking about Mormonism, 100% same deal. It's just like 100 years older. Look, the most basic reading of the foundings of Mormonism show, again, it was a premeditated fraud invented by a criminal. And it's super weird that people go along with it and pretend that isn't what it is. Because it's real dumb. David, there's something to be said for the difference between a real religion and a fake one being how old it is. But yeah. Oh yes, Miss Oxcation. Scientology keeps trying to infiltrate schools. The public service, they set up training days and they pretend they're an independent training thing. And they're actually sneaking this Scientology shit into the training. It's like, oh Jesus, that's weird. It's the weird thing is like, you know, you get people who are Mormons who do good work. They do good community work. They're very self-sacrificing and good people who do great things to help other people. But there's no two ways about it. You look at the religion of Mormonism and it's fucking insane. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. In fact, you know, we treat it like a fiction. The plot holes are so big, you can drive a truck through it. I mean, honestly, that's why I don't go for any religion. The plot holes in Christianity are ridiculous. And it's just like, okay, so that's a thing then, is it? All right. Safra, it's not that some people are more easily fooled into joining Scientology, but Scientology is structured to find and manipulate susceptible people. It's a terrible, terrible, abusive cult. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. And that's not slanderous. I'm just quoting a judge who, I'm trying to remember his name because I used it once. Because the Scientologists can get a bit litigious and go like, dude, well, I'm just quoting a judge. In a court of law, it was stated Scientology is a dangerous cult. But I've done their test. I forget what they call it, the personality test or whatever the fuck it is. And when I was going through the questions, I found it really creepy. Because I was looking at the questions and going, oh my God, they're trying to find out what my psychological weak points are. Like, this is the question, these sort of questions, there are two circumstances in which you'd ask them. One is if you were genuinely trying to help someone. Two, if you were trying to find their psychological weak spots so you could exploit them. And I know which of the two they were doing. And it was really creepy, but I did it anyway. I was interested to see what they did, and then they I've made videos about this. They showed me the results, and it was like, oh look, I'm doomed. And they, no, take our course. I'm going, no, fuck off. No, I'm not doing that. So the Scientologists had a quarantine cruise ship because everyone had measles on it. Like, yeah. Oh yes, Belinda, the famed speaking in tongues in Scummo's church and the other evangelical churches. And that's just embarrassing because I've seen video of it and they say, I'm talking in tongues. And they're literally just going, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh my God, this shit is fucking embarrassing. Siberius Wolf. Oh, yeah, no, Mormons, if you transgress with Mormons, that gets pretty weird, definitely. Sorry, misfoxification. Your religion is lesbianism and you speak in tongues too. Good job. Oh yeah, the the cult in The Simpsons. Yeah, no, you're not being held prisoner. You can leave any time, but mind telling us why? That's it, Luke. The Mormon magic underwear. The magic underpants, that's an actual thing. The Mormons call them the garments, but it's these magic underpants that protect you. It's like fucking, like seriously, I honestly think this holds for basically any religion, but with Mormonism particularly, if it didn't have this shroud of, it's a religion, if you told a psychiatrist, this is what I believe, you'd be committed. If there wasn't that veneer of, it's a religion, it's so stupid and so straight up insane, you'd get committed. Justin, how many Mormons in Australia? I don't know, they're not huge, but there are Mormon communities in Australia. I know there's some in the Blue Mountains west of Sydney. but I have no idea of the numbers. Albie, if you're interested in the magic underpants, look them up. You probably find it just by searching Mormon magic underpants, but they call them the garments. Dave, do you like Buddhism? Well, like any other religion, Buddhism has its abusers. Because a lot of people have been fooled into this idea like there's no such thing as a violent Buddhist or a bigoted Buddhist. Just look up, do a little Google search. You try, I think if you search Buddhist Taliban, because that's what these people have been equated to, there are these radical Buddhists, I don't know, extremists, supremacists in parts of Asia who are all about the extermination of Muslims in particular, but they're just as bad as anyone else. Saf, is it easy to make a religion in Australia? No, I don't believe it is. I believe there's a whole bunch of things you have to do. If by make a religion, get one officially recognised, which would give you tax-free status, I think that's quite difficult. But from the point of view of, can I make a religion and have people follow me? You can just do that, I guess. I know the Dalai Lama is, like he says the dumbest, for instance, he says the dumbest shit about sex and how women shouldn't enjoy it. And oh my God, I've just seen Dalai Lama groupies fucking lose their shit. And this is not secret stuff taken out of context. This is stuff in his own books. And no exaggeration, his rule is basically don't do it with the lights on. Don't do it in daytime hours because that's sinful. It's like he has the most fucked up attitudes to sex, and I've had fucking Dalai Lama groupies lose their shit at me because I said, well, he's a bit of a fuckwit actually, and point these things out, and they get super fucking angry that anyone dare criticize the Dalai Lama, who they'd formed this idea in their head. He was wonderful and perfect and didn't have any negative traits. He does. Misfoxification. Are you saying that, okay, if the Dalai Lama has spoken out against the Buddhist extremists, that's no different. You know, the Ku Klux Klan are Christians. They're radical Christians. And it's the same as Muslims speaking out against radical Islamist terrorists. Yes, they are. It doesn't stop the fact that those people perverted the religion. Just because the Dalai Lama says, my point wasn't Buddhism is inherently bad. I'm saying Buddhism can be perverted like any other religion, and we have some very stark examples of that in the world. This is why I just get the shits when people say Buddhism's different. It isn't. There are people who just justify genocide in the name of Buddhism. So it has exactly the same problems as any other religion. And plus you get these things with, like, you know, countries that are rife with poverty and people starving, and Buddhist temples are full of solid gold statues that, you know, they could melt down and feed people, but they don't. It has the same flaws as every other religion. Oh my God, Jim, no, I saw that shit. There's some extremely conservative Islamic groups in the UK really aggressively trying to stop sex education in some schools in the UK, which is fucking not on. Absolutely not on. uh, and it's just like in the US, you get. I mean, what was the state that was it Alabama banned the cartoon that had the gay wedding in it? And it's just like that one does my head in. Arthur the rat or whatever the fuck he's meant to be, the little anthropomorphized animal, and his school teacher's gay and got married, and uh, I'm having so much trouble wrapping my. Yeah, he's an aardvark, isn't he, Biori? That's right. I'm having so much trouble wrapping my head around these people being up in arms about the gay wedding scene in Arthur. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what about the children? Well, you know, couple of points. Gay people exist. And gay marriage is legal. So the idea that a kids' cartoon having a gay wedding is somehow an affront is... It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. What the fuck? What the fuck are they talking about? It's like, no, where are you? It's like, my God, it's so fucking strange. It's just, and they're treating it like it's the end of the world. Just going, how can it be the end? Kids know what gay means, and they now know gay people get married. It's not like in Arthur, straight after, you know, they say I do, they start sucking dick. You know, that doesn't happen. They just get married. It's so fucking strange. So strange. Mitchell is atheist, doesn't believe in God. I believe the most common definition of an atheist is they believe there is no God. And then you get agnostic means like you don't know one way or the other, but you don't actively believe in a God and you don't follow any religion. And of course, the internet's given birth in the last decade to these, you know, agitating atheists who've taken to calling themselves anti-theists, and 9 times out of 10 they turn into arseholes. Siberius, this is hardly something to argue about semantics. I'm just thinking, all right. It's one of those things when you say that's what the definition is. Well, it's going to depend who you ask. Well, see, not that you really want to go rushing to dictionary. Yes, it says a person who disbelieves or lacks belief in God or gods. I think people hold to the different definitions of it. But yes, I actually think that is a pointless semantic argument. Oh, look, big question. My phone died before the end of the stream. Actually, no, because I had it on charge just before. I didn't know I was going to use it, but it was on charge, so it will be fine, I am sure. It's kind of like some people don't realize, like when they want to try and prove a point, they'll go straight to dictionary definition. Go like, no, in any sort of skilled debating, if you're trying to prove your point by rushing to a dictionary definition, you probably don't have much of a point to make. And that just made me think of transphobes, people who basically deny being transgender is an actual thing. They tend to take one of two very stupid arguing tactics. One of them is they'll argue about genetics, and it's going like, well, you appear to have a maybe high school understanding of genetics as to how they relate to gender. If you speak to someone who actually works in the field, they'll go like, no, you're actually full of shit. There's not that's male, that's female. There are actually many variations. And the other stupid argument they get into is a semantic one. And this is the one Ben Shapiro does. No, we say female is, the XY chromosome, the XX, and he obsesses that this is what we as a society say male is female. It's like, dude, that is patently untrue, because the understanding of genetics has only come about in the last century. And we referred to people as male and female prior to this last century. And that was, 99% based on how they presented. And if they told you they're a man or a woman. And society just accepted particular things. It's just like, yes, trying to say the dictionary says this and so therefore that's unequivocal fails to take into account the shortcomings of dictionaries, the fact they're written from a point of view, and also societal standards and how they change over time. So asserting because something is today, it was ever thus, is really quite a stupid arguing position. Siberius, I did watch that ContraPoints video where she was specifically taking down Ben Shapiro on pronouns, and initially I thought, wow, this is a really weird way to argue, because he's just wrong scientifically. Why are you arguing semantically? And then I eventually got there, oh right, you're pointing out that he argues on semantics based on what he perceives science says now, and he's completely ignoring the cultural and semantic meaning of the terms in the past. It's basically, his position's completely nonsensical. It doesn't make sense scientifically, it doesn't make sense societally, it doesn't make sense semantically. He's just an obnoxious little bigot. Jim, where do I stand on trans athletes competing against non-trans competitors? Basically, if someone has actually transitioned, the evidence is they don't have a significant transgender people don't have a significant advantage over cisgender people. But you bring that up, there's that interesting thing with, I think, is she South African, Caster Semenya, being penalised because she has more testosterone than average for a woman, but she's cisgender. She's not transgender. There's this weird fucking taboo about women and their role and what. As a lot of people have pointed out, the reason Michael Phelps, or a huge reason Michael Phelps dominated so much in swimming, is he had significant physiological differences. Like, he produces far less lactic acid than other people, and there's something about his arm length as well. And he was congratulated, he's so lucky like that. Caster Semenya is naturally different physiological makeup to the majority of cisgender women, and she's being punished for it. It's so fucking strange. No, she shouldn't take the anti-testosterone pills, because that's just how she is. AgroPix, it's interesting, the old bumblebee shouldn't be able to fly. was based on bad premise, bad analysis, and bad science. But yes, that idea is stuck with us that bumblebees aerodynamically shouldn't be able to fly. The guy who came up with that, yeah, his premise was bad, his analysis was bad, and the physics he tried to apply to the whole thing was bad. Obviously, bumblebees can fly, and their ability to fly is explained quite straightforwardly. That's another one, Jim, only using X percent. See, you're saying 70%. I remember people talking about you only use 30% of your brain. These weird fucking things that someone invents at one. The bumblebee guy, I don't think he invented it. I think he thought he was right. And I think that percent of your brain thing, I think that came with, no, Albie, you are categorically wrong. Science quite directly shows it makes perfect sense that bees fly. The story that it doesn't make sense they fly is absolutely categorically 100% wrong. Simple aerodynamics explain how bees fly. That whole thing is wrong. Yeah, what's the rest of your brain for? Porn. Yeah, no, but that theory that you only use X% of your brain is absolutely untrue. Another one, someone put about, and this is one that I'm sure the person just invented out of whole cloth because it's absolutely farcical. There's a saying that, you know, men think of sex every 30 seconds or something. And again, that number is varied, but that it's not only completely untrue, you can tell the person just fucking made it up because it's absolutely impossible to measure. So the person who made that up literally just made that up. No, Albie, you are absolutely 100% categorically wrong. That theory that science can't explain how bees fly is absolutely 1000% wrong. Science completely, totally, unequivocally explains how bees fly. There is no mystery, there is no defying of science, there is no defying of aerodynamics. It came from a false premise. Yes, CrossFit, you'll be right. Good. Yeah, does my fridge make it was making more noise earlier. I don't know why that is. But yeah, it's just started vibrating. And I don't know if all my bottles on it make it worse, actually. I don't know. Yeah. But, yeah. Where science and scientific studies tend to fall down is when someone makes a mistake. And this is a reasonably common mistake. They start with the conclusion. They go, I'm pretty sure this is the case. And then they look for evidence to support their case, and they tend to ignore. Albie, that is categorically not what you said a minute ago. They didn't know how. No, one person posited a theory that he did the analysis and bumblebees shouldn't be able to fly. Okay, and what you're saying now, science never said they couldn't fly, that is what you said a little while ago. But anyway, we also didn't know how combustion engine, well, we didn't know how to make a combustion engine. That's, anyway, my advice to you is let it go. Yes, Splinter, I think the bees have always known how to fly. But yes. No, my fridge has not been that loud before, Safa. It was just doing it today, and I don't know why. So, Beerus, my thought of there not being many left-leaning Australian political channels on YouTube. Yeah, look, possibly. And my politics are pretty obvious. But, yeah, there are people of various things. Have I had a power outage recently? I don't think so. Well, no, it's not. I'll tell you what happens if I put pressure on it. So look, see, if I press on it, I'm like absorbing the vibrations and it stops. But then I take my hand off and it starts again. I could just do the whole live stream like this. Albie, why are there no left-wing shock jocks? That's an interesting one. Oh yeah, Justin. Friendly Geordies is obviously a left-wing, very pro-Labor, pro-union channel. You know, I sort of same views as him on some things, and I diverge with him on some things. Safa, the loss of this election does tend to suggest Murdoch has even more power than Bill Shorten was giving him credit for. Siberius, the Juice Media, they do funny videos, correct? They do those honest political ads, if I remember. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Maybe I should just do the whole live stream like this, holding this silly little freezer so it doesn't make that noise. Suffer Rudd went off on Murdoch on Twitter. Rudd going off on Twitter. There you go. Oh, there's a newish channel called Hardcore Lime. I'll try and remember to look for them. I mean, you know, I'm just not very organized. Lots of times I feel like, you know, I should be more organized and I should interact more with other people on the political side. And I'm just not motivated to. Fuck it. Noise is coming. My arm's getting sore holding it down. Jim, what's a treadle? Anti-government ads with that Zoe lady. I don't know that one, Safa. I don't know. Oh, Miss Foxification, I did see something about a bank or something released Trump's taxes. Yeah, who knows? It's a very strange world out here. What's a treadle? Put something heavy on the freezer. It's got lots of heavy things on it. Booze bottles. Solenoid. Okay, whatever. What would happen if we put Rudd in the White House? Justin, what do you mean? Just like let him loose? Let him loose in the Oval Office to attack Trump? Is that what you're saying? We could use Rudd as an attack dog to attack a Trump, maybe? A book. Have I got anything here? Now, see, the whole surface of the fridge is covered with booze bottles. So I don't know that there's anything I can do. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Justin, as he's somehow made president. So what do I think? If well, Rudd's weird because he, while he showed a lot of promise as Prime Minister, a telltale sign was very early in his Prime Ministership. There was a feature on him in one of the news magazines, and his own staff said he's obsessed and doesn't sleep. Oh, wait, it just switched off. There we go. I heard it click. There we go. We're all good. His own staff said he's obsessed and didn't sleep enough, like he was only sleeping 4 hours a night, and it made him grumpy. And then there were a whole succession of instances when he was Prime Minister where he lost his temper and abused people, and it got to the stage where his behavior to the rest of the party alienated him so much they got rid of him. And I mean, I fucking wrote him off. Because like I said, he showed a lot of promise as Prime Minister, and he made a big speech about climate change, and he made a speech where he said, climate change is the greatest moral challenge of our generation. And then a couple months later, there was some bad opinion polls saying they didn't they didn't support him doing stuff on climate change. So he dropped all these climate change policy. Like, he literally said, this is the biggest moral challenge we face, and then he totally failed it. By his own standard, he's a moral coward. That was when I wrote him off. But then apparently he was so abusive to the rest of the party that they couldn't work with him anymore, which is why they knifed him. Hey Tendai, how's it going? So if you think Rod would rather be chairman in China, I think if he gave him chairman in China, he'd be much happier there. China has a much stronger economy than America, and China's even more supportive of autocrats than America is, and I think Rudd would like that. Oh, so serious. How bad will the economy get? I worry the economy is going to tank really fucking badly. Because, they always go on about, Labor and they're spending, Labor and they're reckless spending. Yeah, Labor recklessly spending on things like health and education and social welfare. And like when the global financial crisis hit, they just poured government money into community construction projects that kept all these people working. And while the rest of the world got the shit kicked out of them by the global financial crisis, we were relatively unscathed because of the government policies. But that's called reckless spending. So many of us didn't end up on the fucking streets. Shit goes tits up with this mob in power. They will just throw anyone who's not their mates to the fucking wolves. Unemployment will skyrocket. The housing market will crater. Everything will go fucking tits up, and they won't do a goddamn thing to help. And they'll say, you know what we should do? More tax breaks for companies, because that will be good. And if something even approaching the global financial fuckwits are in power, this country is fucked. Like I said, the other thing, while these guys are in power, you do not want to be anything other than white, straight, Christian, middle-aged, and rich. If you're young, old, poor, sick, anything that's not a white male, you are fucked. If things go wrong, you are fucked, because they will throw you to the wolves. You'll end up in the gutter. It's just like, sorry, Chris, you say they can't blame Labor, but they will. They absolutely will. Yeah. David, yes. Look, you're a glass half full type of guy. One government with no opposition means you can get things done. Yes, and you can have re-education camps for the people who disagree with the government's stance on something. So we should actually have a sweep on how long it takes the government to blame Labor for something going wrong. Like some really fucking bad economic news, something going tits up, and they go, well, we need a problem from Labor. Whoa! And it's just because historically, that's what they do. That's what they do. And we're going to see a spike in abuse and violence from bigots. Like there's going to be a spike in like homophobia, racism, bigotry, misogyny. A whole fuck ton of people are going to feel super emboldened to be really abusive. Yeah, Luke, if you say mental health system's bad now, it'll go down the fucking toilet with this mob in control. But yeah, I was thinking, ugh, what am I doing here? I'm gonna make drink. Lemon. Oh, I'm gonna make the bitter drink, the bitter liberal. I'll be a small L liberal who's bitter at what happened in the election. But yeah, it's I'll try this because I've never tried this one and I like the sound of it. So or a man of war. That sounds good. That's bourbon Cointreau vermouth. Juice. Now I've been meaning to do this liberal bitter, and I'm a bitter liberal, small L liberal, after the election result. Ugh, so Bruce, that shit with Clive Palmer. I mean, how pathetic do you have to be to want to be a third-rate fucking Donald Trump impersonator? That was one of the most pathetic things I've ever seen. And now people, including Clive Palmer, are going for a fucking conspiracy theory. And you can retrospectively fit this in. You know, Clive Palmer spent $80 million, didn't win a single seat. But I convinced all the pissed off Liberal voters to vote for me, and then I funneled all the preferences straight back to the Liberals, so the Liberals didn't lose any vote. And look, retrospectively, I'm not listening. When people are deconstructing this election result and saying, well, this is where Labor went wrong, this is where Labor... If they didn't say it before the election, I don't give a fuck. If, you know, hindsight, 2020, fantastic. But if you didn't say it before the election, I honestly don't fucking care. You're suddenly full of wisdom. No. Where was your wisdom ahead of time? Picking apart the corpse afterwards and going, oh, I see what happened. No, I've got no time for that. The Bums Rush was a good drink, Belinda. I like the drinks I made on Saturday night. That was tequila, Cointreau, lime. And I think I put something else in there too, because it's supposed to have a honey liquor and I didn't have one. I need to get some liquor. I should stop buying alcohol. But then I think, oh, if I had this one, I could make a drink with it. It's like, I don't know, that's like fucking years worth. If I decided I'm going to stop drinking alcohol, well, as soon as all these are gone, I wouldn't stop drinking alcohol for the next year. Oh, David, I'm with you 100%. The way the social security system has gotten so punitive is massively damaging to mental health. Like there's a significant number of suicides too. Justin, how do you send stuff? My post office box is on all my videos, basically. Wait a second, I can tell you. In fact, I've got something to pick up in my post office box. I'll have to do that on the weekend. 3290. I have GPO Box 3290, Melbourne 3001. I write, yeah, you see my Telstra bill. Yeah, I write notes on the back of my bill envelopes. All right, so if I'm going to make this, I need a few things. Still got a bit of rye, vermouth, okay. Okie dokie. Let's see what we can do here. Got to grab some things. Oh, over here. This and this. This and this. All right. My cocktail shaker. And just put that up there. My cut glass tiki mug. Oh, I'm going to get some ice for my tiki mug. Big square of ice. One there. One there. That's my rye whiskey. My bullet rye. I need, was it Fernet Branca? Yes, Fernet Branca and my vermouth. Let it long, Fernet Branca. Oof, that's beastly stuff. I only put a little bit of this in, it's really beastly stuff. Fernet Branca, a really bitter Italian liqueur. Ooh, I need lemon juice. That's in here. Ugh. Okay. So, I'll put this ice in the shaker. I'll ask for my juice, put that in there to shaky. Right, so where's my jigger? Bloody hell. Ugh. Yeah. All right, no, now we're ready. Ooh, Justin, you're gonna send me a political core flute from States. Oh, I've still got that hate mail letter over here too. Maybe it'd be fun to read a bit more of that. So, some rye whiskey. Do. Put that in. Okay. This is my special absinthe infused vermouth. That's a special one I got. Pretty good. A little bit different. I like to do things a little bit different. Now just a little bit of Fernet Branca because it's so goddamn strong. Okay. That's enough Fernet Branca. I suppose put something else in here? Bitters. So, not lemon juice, but I thought I'd taken them somewhere else, but bitters are just here. Good old Angostura. See if Fernet Branca is not bitter enough, then put some bitters in as well. Let me put a little bit of agave in it. That'll do. Or we'll try that anyway. Might be a bit intense. Let's see what this is like. Paddy talks. Do I think Queensland is racist? Do I think racism is more widespread among the people in Queensland than it is in other places? Queensland's definitely more conservative than everywhere else. Sorry, I just like, I was going to do stupid jokes like, is Queensland racist? Is a bit of an abstract concept like a war on terror. What is Queensland? Is Queensland the dirt? Is Queensland a political construct? But yes, the question is, do I think people in Queensland are more racist than the people in other states? I think it's probably a bit more front and centre than in other places, but I grew up in country New South Wales. People are racist as fuck everywhere. So is anyone else using my bandwidth? Actually, no, they're not. Why? Is it stuttering a bit? Eh? I don't know. Rottweiler dude, have I ever tried Coke and vinegar? No. Oh, unless you mean cocaine and vinegar. I haven't done that either. Yes, Siberius, thank you. All the stories about absinthe being hallucinogenic and making murder sprees is complete bullshit. I mean, it tends to be high alcohol. Like my absinthe is like 75% alcohol. And the same people who make that make a variation that goes up to 85% alcohol. So you don't want to drink a lot of that because it's very against you. I've only ever I have family in Brisbane actually, but I've only ever visited there. Melbourne's the place to live. I quite like it here. Been here like 20 years now. Oh, Dave's Battle. Hard to walk through the UK without getting homophobia, transphobia. Well, the majority of gay people are still concerned for their safety if they hold hands in public. And yes, most trans people are very cautious in public, are worried about their safety. So, and we have, like, because we just had the government, instead of simply passing legislation, they knew there was overwhelming support for marriage equality. They went with this public vote on it, and all the religious right and other homophobes spent a couple of months just talking non-stop hate speech, and they were super upset when it didn't work. So for that is a good point. Russia is not a place you want to be openly gay. A lot of violent. Melbourne or Adelaide. Yeah, I don't know. Adelaide's just like a big country town to me. I've visited Adelaide a couple of times. Not sure I could live in Adelaide. I just, I've settled. I'm in Melbourne. I don't really want to live anywhere else. I quite like it here. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure that anyone, and this is probably my own narrow view of not knowing how a lot of non-English speaking countries are, but yeah, I feel homophobia, transphobia still very big issues in most parts of the world, and not just people being mean to you if you're gay, but violent, life-threatening homophobia and transphobia, I think, are very widespread. Oh, you think there's connection issues on my end? It's been going. Maybe it's because I'm transmitting from my phone and I'm also watching the live stream. Maybe I can make things better if I if I stop watching. That might help. See if that helps. And anytimes Aidsy's from Canberra, and I visited there with him, stayed at his family's place. Aidsy has hilarious stories about Canberra. What speed plan am I on? I actually don't know. I went for a fairly high one, and it's normally pretty good. I mean, I could do a speed test now and see what it... Oh. I have to mess about. I've got this fucking hacky setup here. Ooh, what the heck? Speed test. Run speed test. Let's see. Okay, down seems to be going okay. Down seems to be 35 to 40 MIPS. Fairly stable. Up. Ooh, up struggling a bit. That's nowhere near as good as normal. Seems like it's going at about 12 MIPS and it's usually over 20. So I think I am having some issues. Yeah, it's only 11 up. Yeah, this is... It's saying mine's doing fairly well, but it's not doing as well as it normally would. So, anyway, I'll try and reset myself up now. Albie, you think Canberra's like the Matrix? That's interesting. That's one thing I've never heard said about thing. Time to call Telstra support. Yeah, I'm on cable through Telstra because I had Foxtel. Justin, we should do a live stream for the ACT election. Don't want to be too harsh, but I don't think anyone cares. If I was being super mean, I would probably say that the ACT elections are about the least consequential elections in Australia. A little bit mean and judgmental, I know. But, yeah. Oh, God. Zafa, the only time I would call Telstra support is if the internet had been out for, I don't know, hours, because you just get stuck on hold like forever. I'm just thinking this is worse than usual. So I'm just thinking, or maybe this is a one-off. It's just not doing particularly well tonight. Anyway, I tried to improve it. I stopped watching the stream via YouTube. So I suppose I was using double bandwidth. Yes, Paddy. Well, Dutton won his seat easily. Like, he got declared relatively early on election night, which I was super disappointed in. Like, I really, really, really wanted him to lose, and he didn't. Dave's voted, you're voting in EU elections. Good luck with that. Tendai, someone hijacking my Wi-Fi to download porn. Yes, someone. Definitely not me downloading porn. Miss Foxification, you want to get a tiny home and go bush. I don't have that luxury at the moment, you know, with three in the house. But there's a lot to be said for if you are an individual or just a couple. The whole tiny home thing actually has a lot to recommend it. And if you don't know what that is, look it up online, because you see some good videos, some good documentaries or mini documentaries about people. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a tiny home, often like a miniature version of a house that basically has one room in it. Yeah, there's there is some ridiculous shit being said with real estate being so unaffordable to the majority of people. Doing a tiny home because you like a tiny home or a converted shipping container because everything else is too expensive is fucked. I think the bush is boring. I grew up, well, in a country town, so not really bush, but, you know, the bush was only minutes away. But yeah, I am not a country person. I am a city person. So yeah, what was the other shitty housing option? I was listening to this week's Blind Boy podcast. I'm always talking about him. He's an Irish comedian. Has by far my favourite podcast because he's just so interesting. He reads a lot and he has really interesting insights, what he calls his hot takes into things. And he's been speaking out about quite severe housing crisis in Ireland for a while. And he's, you know, apparently like the Ireland housing minister is talking about the reintroduction of tenement housing would be big. And if you know what it is, that's like a big apartment block, but your apartment doesn't have a bathroom or a kitchen. You have shared bathroom and kitchen facilities. So your flat is basically just a single room with no facilities in it. And you have to share all the facilities with other people. And that was tenement housing in the previous century. And it's awful. It's an awful, gross, exploitative system who has fucked up the housing situation, coming up with this brilliant solution of the return to tenement housing, which was just a horrible, abusive system that entrenched poverty as just like fucked. Oh, so yeah, renting is hard. I mean, like, okay, so my offspring are both at uni and they're still living at home. Because, Jesus Christ, the idea of how many hours you would have to work while at uni to afford your own rent. And like your uni would suffer really badly. Like, it'd be very hard when you're young to have enough money to pay rent without working full time. So trying to do full-time uni and full-time work, you know, a recipe for disaster. So I'm perfectly happy for them to stay at home. But I was saying to my daughter today, not only could I afford to live when I was at uni. After I left uni and went to Sydney, I could afford to live in a shared house. Not the time I had part-time or even full-time work, but I was like in the Chippendale Redfern area for quite a while, which is like only one suburb out of the CBD. At the time I was there, it was not particularly fashionable. It was regarded as dangerous and somewhat crime affected. I think it's been considerably gentrified in the decades since I lived there. But that was inner Sydney. I could afford, and it was a shared house. I couldn't have afforded my own flat or anything. Can you believe it? I could afford to live in inner Sydney on the dole. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how out of reach it is. Like, I get paid really well now, and I'd be really fucking hard pressed to afford rent in inner Sydney now, with a really fucking high paying job. So the city. So it's just so it's basically the city of Sydney, and then maybe Haymarket, and then Chippendale and Redfern. Like Redfern was literally one stop away from Central Station, so I was one train stop out of the city, and I could fucking live there on the dole. On the dole, for fuck's sake. On my own on the dole, but I get a shared house, big old terrace house. And it's like absolutely ridiculous that now that's, like I said, I get paid really well now, and I would struggle to pay inner city rents now. It's just ridiculous. Living in the burbs out in Caulfield. I think some people think Caulfield is still relatively close to the city. It's kind of where I ended up Sydney. Like, I've been in Sydney for about 10 years. A lot of the time I was in the inner city, like in Newtown. Left Sydney, I was living in Ashfield, which is actually about as far out as Caulfield is. Ashfield was to the west. I think Caulfield's southeast in Melbourne. Yeah, I didn't end up in Frankston. But Frankston's a weird suburb. For those who don't know Melbourne, the suburb of Frankston has a really bad and deserved reputation of being a dangerous, violent, bogan place. But it is. But it's also waterfront. It's on Port Phillip Bay. So Frankston is like bipolar. Part of it are all these really expensive houses right on the bay, but then just back from that is a fucking lawless wasteland. And it's very bogany, druggy, violent, and dodgy as fuck. So Frankston is a very weird place. It's very worlds there. Expensive rent for Melbourne depends. You want to know how much I pay? Like I'm in a house, so I'm now in a 1, 2, 3, 4. I shoot my videos in the 5th bedroom, and that's like $3,000 a month. So, and that's out in the suburbs. So if this was a shared house with 5 people, you'd that'd be $600 each. So $600 a month, not a week. So, but I mean, okay, for instance, I used to live on the western side of Melbourne, and when I met Mrs. Angry, she was living in East St Kilda, and I was living on the inner west, and so I ended up moving over here. But the last place I lived in the inner west of Melbourne was a 2.5 bedroom house. It's weird. For a house to be 2.5 bedrooms is quite weird. So it's a smallish house, 2.5 bedroom house, but it had an in-ground pool. No, it's closer in than Sunshine Luke. This is around sort of Footscray area. And it was a 2.5 bedroom house that had an in-ground pool. And when I moved over to East St Kilda, I paid the same amount of rent for a 2 bedroom flat as I was paying for this 2.5 bedroom house with an in-ground pool. So that's how different it is in different suburbs in Melbourne. Betty Wallaby, hello, thank you for dropping by. Your shift's about to end. It's very nice of you to drop in and say hello, though. Yes, obviously the rents fluctuate hugely depending where you are, and that's a good example. Like from this was like it wasn't actually in Footscray; it was just past Footscray, and 2.5 bedroom house with an in-ground pool cost the same to rent as a 2 bedroom flat in East St Kilda. So there, that's basically how much for uni students sometimes, the on-campus accommodation. Mr. Oxcation, it's going to get so much worse. Accommodation is going to get so much worse with the Libs in charge. Everything's gonna go to shit. This is one of those things. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they make me look like a silly, whiny, lefty loser. I hope they, against all odds, manage the economy really well, and that services are maintained and everyone's well off and happy and employment's great and all these things are great. Just, I don't see it. I think they're going to fuck everything up. Oh, Petty Wallaby, you're looking for a partner. Yeah, well, the immigration process is still really shit, honestly. I think there's a whole laborious process you have to go through. Yeah. Haruhi, Coca wins Henderson out. I have no idea to what you refer there. I'm in my little bubble. People saying the East is more expensive in Melbourne. So the short answer is yes. But I'm just, yeah. I don't know what anything is outside my area. Oh, you're talking about Corangamite. So what party does that mean, Haruhi? I wasn't paying attention. Who are they saying? Actually, if you want to emigrate to Australia, it's just money. You can buy your way in. If you have enough money, so like, so you're going to come in? I've got lots of money. You want me in your country? Because I did some work years ago, because I work in IT, and worked on the website for the government department that manages immigration and visa on their website. And the big thing is, you can buy your way in. If you have lots of money, you can a couple $100,000 into an Australian bank account. You can just come from various people who'd settled in Victoria from different parts of the world. And there was this one thing of encouraging people to live in the city areas, and it's a strain on amenities, and country areas need more people. So there was a thing, everyone's got buffering. Bloody hell. Okay. Oh, damn. No, everyone's got it. Maybe I should finish. I've just got connection shit. All right. Right, okay. I think connection's gone to hell. So I might wrap it up there because it's a bit of a lost cause. I'm having so many technical. I'm probably doing a live stream with Kevin Logan on his channel. So watch out for links to that. I don't know what time yet, whether it's going to be morning my time or evening my time. I need to work that out with Kevin. But look out for that. One extra live stream this week. And I hope I was going to use my mouse and I'm not on that. I'm on my phone. Look. we can do this. Wee. See, Mimsy was asleep on my bed. Got anything? So anyway, look after yourselves, one and all. I don't even remember how to sign off. Wait, what's this do? Oh, I could have done filters. I could have done filters. What does that do? Pop. Look at this one. Oh, look, that's called Dance Party. I don't even know if you can see. I could have been doing this all night. I could have had bubbles. My God, look at this. Change the light. Noir. Other black and white. That's normal. Okay. I'm going to stop messing around now. Geez, maybe I should do it on the phone all the time because I could do this stuff. Oh well. Look after yourselves, one and all. I hope to see you again soon. And if I can remember how to actually switch this off, I'll switch this off